Генератор работает так.
The gasifier works like this. Open the lid, put fuel into it, and lit the fire. When the gas ignites in about 5 minutes, we can start the engine and drive. You can also do it on the move. Imagine the following situation. You work on the farm, and in order to start sowing, you need a very large amount of liquid fuel for your tractors, trucks, and combines. If you transfer this equipment to solid fuel, you will save a lot of money. The fuel will be husks, twigs, or wood chips. You would save a lot of money this way. I made a proposal to the factories that produce cars and tractors to redesign their vehicles, but the management ignored my proposal, and some factories went bankrupt several years ago.
Или если, допустим, у вас
Maybe you have a truck on a route consuming a lot of fuel every day. For example, I designed a system to modify a MAN truck which allowed it to run a 600 km route every day. Wood waste cost 30 times cheaper than liquid fuel.
примерно в 2013
Around 2013, I accidentally saw a film on the internet on the Discovery Channel called Auto on Firewood about two enthusiasts. I was struck by this technology. At that time, there was no information on this technology in the public domain on our internet. No articles, no groups on social media, and no videos on YouTube. I had to read 600 books. I spent 10 years of my life delving into this subject. The firewood-powered car worked in the following way. A barrel was hung on the car, which could hold fuel for about 1 hour of driving. The fuel was crushed wood with humidity up to 20%. Fuel was in the form of cubes about 8 by 8 centimeters. They were called lumps. The fuel was converted into gas in this barrel. This is called the thermochemical conversion of bituminous fuels.
Для того, чтобы газ вгорел в двигатель, в него
For the gas to burn in the engine, a certain amount of air must be sucked in with it. And the amount of this air has to be adjusted manually with a choke. Studies carried out in Sweden have shown that drivers, distracted by such a process, had slightly more accidents than before. It is inconvenient to adjust the choke every time with a cable. I wanted to make it automatic. I made an electronic control unit that controls the gas-air mixture, regardless of the load on the engine in first, second, third, fourth, or fifth gear. I also installed a microprocessor that controls the ignition advance angle for both gasoline and generator gas. I switch between these ignition advance angle curves for different fuels by pressing the red switch. Just over 2 kilograms of wood replace 1 liter of gasoline. If your car consumes 10 liters of gasoline per 100 kilometers, that is about 22 or 25 kilograms of dry wood. If you compare gasoline with charcoal, then 1 liter of gasoline can be replaced by 1.15 kilograms of charcoal. Accordingly, 10 liters or 100 kilometers is about 11.5 kilograms of charcoal. A car must be gasoline, not a diesel one, because a diesel engine cannot work on gas. You don't have to be afraid to cut the car with a grinder or weld on different structures, which you won't do with an expensive car. I wanted a spacious car. I didn't care about its fuel consumption. Volga is a car model which people get rid of because they consume too much fuel. I don't care, after all. I don't spend money on gasoline. I fill up the car with wood. I drive on charcoal. Besides, I replace 40% of the charcoal mass with water. I bought this Volga car for $200. Its previous owner wanted to get rid of it because it consumed a lot of gasoline and he didn't need it.
Значит, электронный блок управления, он в ручном и автоматическом
This is the electronic control unit of the gasified car.
Можно вручную
It works both in manual and
регулировать
automatic
его
modes.
положение.
The gas/air ratio can be adjusted both manually and automatically. Similarly, water, up to 40%, is supplied to the gasifier both in automatic and manual mode. The screen shows the gas/air shutter angle in percent or grams as well as how much water is supplied to the engine. The system receives data from several thermocouples, a vacuum sensor, and an airflow meter. For thermocouples, monitor the temperature inside the gasifier, how hot the air and steam are at the gasifier input, and what the temperature of the gas/air mixture entering the engine is. The vacuum sensor will indicate if the filters are clogged or if there is something wrong with the fuel. There is a mechanical oil pressure gauge on the panel. The blue indicator shows the engine water temperature. The battery charge level is shown under it. Next is the temperature of the vapor-air mixture at the gasifier input. The moisture indicator is under it. It shows the moisture content of the gas/air mixture which is fed into the engine. The big black box is the control unit where the ignition advance angle curves are stored. It shows RPM and other data.